Cool. This is cheat codes here. For those who don't know, cheat codes is a sample playground, is the way that I've termed it. It's at its core 3 live buffers and 3 clip buffers that are spread out across these 3 sets of 16 pads with multi-finger gestural control over things like rate, panning, direction, volume, play and pause, things like that. There's also some menu items like filters, a combo high pass, low pass. We've got a delay, and then these new timing modes. So the session today is going to be all about live input. It's something that I haven't spent too much time on even, because I always just default to clips. And I think through that I missed a lot of really key interactions that could be exploited to really extend the range of the instrument. So this whole week I've actually been working on a new way of handling the live buffer. So the things that you're going to see today are going to be released tomorrow. So you're kind of getting a sneak peek at everything that you will be able to do, as well as, I don't know, hopefully some acknowledgement of some of the speed bumps and some of the roadblocks with the previous way of handling things. So cool, awesome. Let's dig in. I've got my phone here so I can see the chat, and I've got the stuff here. So we'll start with just a brief overview of the grid controls. We've got the three banks, A, B, and C. And then we've got this live buffer. The live buffer crawls around. Dope, awesome. So you can manipulate the window of the live buffer by using the encoders here. So this would make a very short live buffer, whereas this would extend it out. And the little animation thing, the little guy that's moving, that is just going to show you where the playhead is, or the record head is, in the live buffer. You can toggle that on and off using this key here. So this dimmed is telling me that there is no recording happening in the live buffer right now, and it's illuminated, so there is recording in the live buffer now. So what I'm going to do is just throw in a little bit of audio, and I'm going to loop this pad here. So you can tell that there's an overlap where pad 1 of bank A is going to be playing whatever bit of audio goes into the live buffer there. So there we go. I'll push that over to the left. Cool. So the rate at which that's being overwritten you'll notice it kind of falls back a bit every time. That is determined by the feedback. So right now we're at just a 25% feedback, which means that every time the record head passes back over the old space where audio used to be, it is going to lower the volume of that audio by 75%. So if we turn that up, then we can get much more, or much less destruction. Cool, and it's kind of like retained in our left channel here. Cool. So what I'm going to do is offset each one of these pads so that we can kind of get a cascading. So using encoder 1, I can just swing these buffers so that you can tell they kind of like cascade. And I'm going to set bank C to pan right, bank B is pan middle, and bank A is pan left. I'm holding down this Alt button while I do that so that all of the pads in that bank go to the right, center, and left. So set them all to loop here. Dope. And then what happens? Cool. So this is actually like kind of a nice thing. It's like a weird delay where each of these individual windows is giving us a bit of audio. And if you change the size of those windows, oh, that's really nice, right? Having that on the right side. And like with this like long decay essentially because the overwrite is happening so infrequently. That's really nice. That's one. Let me reduce that. So that's one kind of strategy, is to just have this like windowed kind of multi-tap delay, but like you are choosing the shape of that, right? Like you are saying like, hey, I just want this little bit of audio here in the left channel, right channel, and center. Cool. I'm going to clear the live buffer by holding Alt and pressing my live buffer button. Clipping, sorry. Turn it up here. There we go. Sorry for all the back and forth here. Okay. So I turned off the overwrite, which means that bit of audio is stuck there, which is really nice for laying something down, and then you can repitch each of those loops. So. And then you can do kind of like these occasional writes back in by just kind of like toggling this on and off. So cool. So just that kind of like technique of just having a finger there and toggling it on and off whenever you feel like you want to add audio is a really nice little technique. Cool, dope. All right, so let's say that we have a bit of audio that we're going to record. I'm going to turn off the looping on all those buffers or on all those banks. So let's just say I have a bit of audio that I'm recording. Cool, that audio is in there. Now, this is where some of the new improvements come in. So if I want that bit of audio only to be all of these pads, right? So like the way that the pads are broken up is that they're these little, in their normal kind of configuration, they span this entire line. So like all of these pads aren't doing shit because there's no audio there. But it's really nice to be able to play all 16 pads, just the range of your fingers, you can get a lot more expression. So here's one of the improvements, using the grid alt button and this first unlit button underneath the bank. What that'll do is it will automatically distribute all 16 pads into the current range of the live buffer. So if I click that, dope. So it took the start point and the end point of the live buffer, it mapped that to the 16 pads so that I can have that full range of motion just in that small area. And the same thing is going to be true of all the other banks. So the first button with the grid alt will chop this window to the range of the 16 pads. Cool. So this, you can do a lot of fun stuff here, but now all I've got is fucking 16 pads times 3. What is it, 48 pads of the same exact bit of audio, which isn't really that compelling. What you can do is one of the other new improvements, improvement part 2, is that once you establish a window on your record buffer, on your live buffer, you can move, using encoder 1, you can move that window just by swapping the, oh, fuck it, I'll just show you, sorry. So you can just move the window, right? So that's the window there, that's audio we've already recorded. Here's audio we've never recorded before, a part of the live buffer that we've never touched. So if I were to slice into this, there's nothing there because we've not recorded into it. But this is actually a really nice way to actually extend the range of what cheat codes can do. I find that I really like just putting in these small phrases, right? So I'm gonna switch to like, there we go. Turn off the little distortion there. And then I'm gonna do the same thing, right? I'm just gonna like record a little jam inside this section of the live buffer. Cool, dope. So that lives there. This is already pre-chopped. It sounds like a newsroom report, right? It's like breaking news. Cool. So that in combination with what we recorded earlier, I'm going to bring everything to center just for the sake of figuring out how I want things placed. Cool. This whole thing is really loud because levels. So I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to hold the grid alt and I'm going to drop down the level of all of the pads in the bank. A little bit more. A little bit up. Dope. I'm going to turn off looping on all those just for now. So sweet. So using this little trick here, I've recorded 2 different instruments, and then if I swing it over, I could record a third. Let's maybe do this drum thing. Who the hell knows? Let's give it a shot. So, cool. All right, bring that. Awesome. I'm going to record that into this section. Awesome, we got that little bit of audio. I'm going to auto slice this bank to that section. Yeah, this gesture of pad auto chop corresponds to whatever the currently selected buffer window is. So if I wanted to, for example, I want A to maybe be the first part of the buffer. swing that over, there we go. B, maybe I want it to be the second part, swing that over, B, C, C. So now, cool, so now within an 8-second buffer, we have 3 pretty complete voices, which is really dope. So, you know, you could always do a little random pattern here. No, I don't want that one. Yeah. So cool. Yes, Xander, you can pan an entire bank. So again, that's Zilchmo plus, or sorry, the grid alt plus whatever Zilchmo you want. So if I wanted to pan everything in this bank to the left, hit that, and then cool. It's all to the left, center, right. Sweet. Cool, awesome. So fun. What we've done to review is gone over a auto slicing feature that takes whatever the record buffer's current window is, automatically slices the pads in the bank so that they're evenly distributed across that buffer. Where this becomes most compelling is with drums, obviously. There's been a lot of requests for, hey, I would like to, I'd like to just have a drum loop. I know it's a bar long. I just have this drum loop, and what I want to do is to be able to span it across the 16 pads and just basically just drop it in, right? So that's where we get into some of the clocked features. So the new version of Norns has Ableton Link built into it, as well as an entire global clock stream that has actually really improved how tight you can get things in cheat codes, not only with the pattern recorder, but also just syncing things to a steady beat. So since I have Live open, I'm going to enable Link here. And it already automatically found Norns. There's this one link listed there. Where you can really tell that things are synced up is in this timing screen. I don't know if these are going to show as the same, but the link, like this little play bar on Live, is moving at the same rate as these numbers here. So this is just showing you what beat within whatever number bar you're on, what beat is currently playing, which is really helpful for just knowing where you are in terms of syncing to the other devices on your link bus. I'm also, while I'm on the screen, I'm just gonna quantize real quick. We can get into the different modes here, but I'm just gonna, for the sake of cohesion, I'm gonna add quantization to my pattern record. So dope. Clocking and the live buffer, new section. There are 2 different things that you can do with the new version of cheat codes that is coming up hopefully tomorrow. One of them is that the one-shot live recording behavior is going to be tempo locked. So you can say, hey, when I hit this one-shot button, either wait until the next beat to enable it, or wait until the next bar rolls around to enable it. And this is really nice for just being tightly synced to a clock bus with Live or over MIDI, and you have something coming in an arpeggio or a drum kit, and you want to be able to just grab a clean bar of that audio, or clean 2 bars or 3 bars, whatever. That's where this comes in handy, that you can sync the one-shot live recording behavior to either the next bar or the next beat. This is where it gets real fun, though. I can specify that my record loop be 1 bar in resolution. What that does is it changes the size of the record window on the live buffer to fit 1 bar at the current BPM. So now, without having to like finagle with those things, without having to touch the encoders, that's automatically happened. If I move encoder 1, then it moves 1 bar at a time. What's really cool is if you move encoder 2, that just extends. So now I've got 2 bars or 3 bars to record into. So if I know that I have a drum loop that is right here, I have a drum loop that is 2 bars long, I know that I have this. So I'm going to use 2 bars worth of time, and my one-shot recording action is set to quantize on, I think, the bar, right? Yep, next bar. So I'm going to clear the audio that's in that part of the buffer, and I'm going to hit play on the drum kit here, and I'm going to hit record on this, and they should just sync up at the same time. Cool, so that stayed on for 2 bars, and then it was off. That was not the most compelling drum beat, but you get the picture. So I can auto chop. There we go. Let me pan it all to the center. This is more like kind of like Leah drums, I guess, which I'm really into. So cool. So we'll just like record. I think my quantization is set to, let's actually set it to quant and trim. So what quant and trim versus quant will bring your presses to the nearest 16th note, regardless of how long you go for. So you could go for like 2 1/3 bars. Quant and trim is going to have a bar awareness as well. So if you do 1 7/8 bars, it's just going to add a little bit of time to get you to a clean 2 bar loop. So this button blinks at the rate, which right now is 120 BPM. You've got like this just nice, clean 1 bar loop. Cool. Some of the new features, this is already released, but while you're playing a pattern, this little counter is telling you which step of your gestures you're on, which is nice. You can always shuffle that pattern. So we still got a 1 bar loop, but the events have been shuffled. And then you've also got these pattern start and pattern end things. So let's say you just want like the first like 3 events. Very fun. Cool. This is also a way to control your random patterns as well. We should probably get into random pattern stuff at a different session. This is more about live input. But just for the gridless, this random pattern thing is actually really, really fun. So the options here are pitch centric. So if you create a random pattern, what it does is it selects different pitches and directions, or different rates and directions for each one of the pads, just to like have a new place to be. you can control the range of those rates. So if I have low rates, then that's an eighth speed, a quarter speed, and half speed only. If I have mid rates, then that's half speed, 1 speed, and 2x. Highs are 2 and 4x, and then full range is 8th speed to 4x. So let's see what happens when we have full range and we just hit this K3. Let's cycle through a couple. And maybe I'll just turn on looping some of these. Wow, that 8th step is real long. I'm going to drop it off. Let's do the first 5. Cool. Anyway, a fun thing to do. I'm losing the thread. I'm so sorry, y'all. Back to our live. So we did this with drums a little bit. It was a little harder to kind of like maybe like fully appreciate the quantization and the chopping, just because it was like kind of an atmospheric sample. But what I'll do is, there we go, and it's low. Awesome. Same thing, right? We're still link synced between Norns and Ableton, so these are working at the same exact rate. I'm gonna do 1 bar of this. I'm gonna clear that section of audio, and then this one-shot record is still synced to bar and off. Cool. And then I'll chop that whole bar across these 16 pads. And it's nice because the thing is still going, and these are just 16th notes. Cool. So that's just like a really quick and easy way to totally remix an arpeggio from another source. So I've got that there, which is really nice. I'm actually gonna do another arpeggio here. So let's pull out some different notes. Cool. Dope. I'm gonna auto chop these pads to that section there. Nice. And then let's do the same thing in a third section. So you just got audio going, this just starts recording, stops recording all on its own, the auto chop, and it's there. Pretty fun. Yeah, and it's just like we got there in like 40 seconds, right? Like instead of having to like chop up your sample in another program and then bring it over to Norns through through a file server thing, like, and that's so much more limited, right? Because the way that I've freaking coded it, you can only really have 3 clips going at once. But this just opens up whole new possibilities. I feel like it's pretty direct, right? Like I have tried to learn like the SP workflow a bit, and the thing that I just want is a really clean start recording, stop recording after this amount of time, and then just auto chop my audio to my pads. That's all I want, right? This I feel like is pretty close to where I want to be. Oh no, sorry, Andrew. 417 loops. No. Cool. A fun way to exploit this, let's say you really want like a super long arpeggio. That is going to be in adjusting this live buffer maximum. So all that does, that's a trick. It is, I am playing a prank on everybody, right? It's not actually giving you more time. It's just lowering the rate at which the record head moves. So when you say 16 seconds, what it's really doing is it's dropping the pitch an octave. So it's just having the rate at which it's going through. Same thing when you go to 32, it's dropping it again. So I'm gonna leave it at 16. I've also included this feature where all of your pads will offset by that same jump, so that you don't get chipmunking once you record your live audio. So what that's done is given me 16 seconds across this big line. And what was previously 2 seconds has been dropped down to 1 second because I'm still at 1 bar, right? So I'm gonna make that, oh, fuck it. Let's just make it as long as possible, right? And then I'm going to throw some kind of wandery arpeggio here. Let's do it at, 1/6. Why not, right? And maybe I'll play with the wave shape as we go. Let's add some steps. Let's say this, do some random. Cool. Once that starts recording. You see this is moving really slowly. Cool. All right, it got, oh no. I started recording again, sorry. Oh, fuck it. I'm just gonna stop it there. Let me just redo that, sorry. I got overzealous. All right. There we go. Okay, dope. All right, so I've recorded all that audio here. So if I auto slice this, right, like this is gonna play to the end of that, right? But like, let's say that I actually want I'm gonna bring all these to center. Let's say I actually want like those changes. So let me, because like this, represents kind of like a lot of timbral territory across this whole section, right? Now, let's say that I just want pads or bank C to take on the stuff in this section here. Then if I just move my record window and say, hey, auto chop bank C to that part of the record window. then I can work all 16 paths just in that small window. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other ones. So I'm going to use encoder 1, drop to this section of audio, chop that, and then I'll pull back, and maybe the whole beginning will be chopped to bank A. So now... all of our little glitchy loops here. Computer fan is going. Fan game hard, man. Strong? The game is hard. The game is strong. I don't know. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Let's like do a random pattern. And then a random pattern. Maybe a random pattern? And then here's the fun thing. This is all quantized, right? This is all being synced to this clock. So you've got quant and trim, and quant. So all of these are happening on the clock tick, the same clock tick that Ableton is working on. So if I just load up a drum loop, ooh, actually, wait. I want to show something. There's this one sharp note, right? This sucks. That is too high for me right now. While my pattern is going, I can adjust that. I don't have to stop the pattern in order to make that change. I'll let my pattern go. And then I'm going to turn in a pad focus mode. Pad focus mode allows you to adjust any of the pads while the pattern's still going. So that's the one that sucks. So I'm gonna select that. It doesn't like call it up. It doesn't affect the pattern that's going. And I'm gonna drop down the pitch on that one. So the next time it hits, it's a little bit better. It's still a little loud. So I'm gonna bring down the volume on that one pad. Yeah. That's so much better. Okay, cool. I'm gonna come out of the pad focus mode, and the pad focus mode is just the grid alt plus this button above the pattern record button. Cool, awesome. So now this is going, everything's going. And then, yeah, if I load up a drum loop, have a blast with that. But yeah, that's actually a really nice thing, is that the because everything is synced to the clock, all of these things can just kind of like phase in and out with each other really nicely. You want to slice them drums. All right, that's gonna be good. Let's go back. We got the loops. I'm gonna clear my audio in that bar, and then shoot. Cool. That, let's say this bank. Bring it up. Cool. We've got a thing there. And then I can also just like turn on one-shot recording while this is going, and it's gonna like fill this bank up. Fun. Here, let me clear the buffer that this bank, this part of the, sorry, let me clear this part of the buffer that this bank is sliced to and show you. So if I actually, let's have it just start playing a pattern. There's no audio in the buffer. And then it's just immediately just putting that stuff in there, right? So this is a nice way to do like a beat repeat sort of thing. Anyway, cool. Is there a way, if you wanted the drum loop to be ever so slightly later, that you could do that while still staying in sync? Oh, I got you. Nudging the pattern on Norns, on cheat codes. Yes, perfect. Cool. Yeah, so this is actually the thing. This pattern play button, that's not really super quantized. So for example, this is maybe going to be dumb, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to play a metronome. I'm going to record a metronome. Recording. Dub. Cool. Cool, and then I'm going to record. Whoops. Let me swing over here, tell it to quant and trim. And I should be able to get quarter notes, right? See, so that play is not quantized strictly to like whole beats, right? So we have a pattern that's playing back one beat behind. Yeah, you got, yeah. And I can like stop that, and then I can kind of get it back. The groovy metronome. So all that the pattern playback button does is it unleashes the stream of pattern data to the clock. So the clock is going at a steady 16th note pace. So when the pattern playback is toggled off, then it's just blocking all of the pattern information to that clock stream. But as soon as you turn that on, then it opens it up, and the next clock signal that comes in will start the pattern. So you can hit that exactly on your one, and it'll play along, or you could hit it tiny bit off or a tiny bit before, anything like that. Okay, here's another thing that's fun to do with the live buffer stuff that I've put in. Have you ever loaded a clip into cheat codes and found that your clip is shorter than Dan expected your clip to be, so that all your 16 pads don't really span the clip? I'm playing all these pads, I got no clip. My clip is over here, only in those 4. How frustrating. Here's a way around that. I'm going to set my loop points to play the entire clip. Cool, that sounds like the end of the clip. I'm going to use Alt. I'm going to use this third key here. And what that'll do is it'll sync the live buffer to the length of that one pad. So now my live buffer is the same exact length as that sample. And then I'll auto chop my bank based on the length of my live buffer, which was based on the total length of the clip. So this kind of like recursive thing just lets you do. And then I can set all of these banks to auto chop that sample now. Sample. I'm gonna maybe make the windows a little bit longer. Nice. And turn on looping. Change the rates. Change the panning. Yeah, you can execute that whenever a pattern is going. So for example, I'll auto chop to this like weird part of the buffer, and then I'll do a random Zilchma pattern, which is still playing in that one part of the buffer. And then if I swing that back over here, and I hit my auto slice, it jumps. It just reassigns immediately. So this will get into like kind of like our nice little ambient stuff here. And then if you want, this is a nice thing. I've recorded all these in loose mode. Cheat Codes actually commits a quantized version of your loose patterns in the background. So if I change these to quant, these are actually executing on the clock tick now. Quick way to prove that, let's turn down the tempo a little bit. So now they're executing way slower. And then turning up the BPM, going faster. So I did something that was like unstructured, but Cheat Codes in the background was structuring it for me so I could switch in and out. And so now it's structured. So I can... No, vibe is not gone. Let's get back to the vibe. Here, we'll make it vibe. The pad loop points are not adjusting to match the tempo, but you could do that if you wanted to. There's a Zilchma gesture to expand the window of a loop to match the current BPM. What I find more important is that the pattern executes the next step on the clock rather than the window of the loop being perfectly synced to the BPM. That's kind of like where the soul of it comes in, is when you've got this loop that's like kind of phasing against itself, but it's getting constantly restarted on a predictable tick. That's a really nice zone for me. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, let's play with some things like the delay, right? Fuck it. We're here. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. This was really nice. Thank you for being here. I'm probably gonna tune out though, or turn off. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. Cool. Well, yeah, I'll do another one of these. And let me know. Let me know if there's any questions. Throw them on the cheat codes thread. I'll continue to do these for like new features. Love y'all very much. Thanks for being here.